Yeah, buys, I change games like it's going out of season or, as much as I change my underwear, like usually like 2 times a week.
Mhm.
I'm playing PoE 2 now. Me and the boys have been playing. I've been enjoying it. I got a minion build going and it's been really fun. But the funny part is that I never really liked ARPGs and I never really liked isometric and I never really liked PoE. So I got into the gameplay of the gear progression loop now and really fun. So here are my absolute beginner thoughts. I have no bias, no opinion previously, completely beginner, and let you just flame me in the comments. I'm fine. Fuel the algorithm. Number one I want to talk about is combat. Combat's very obvious. That's obviously going to be the most important part, or gear progression is probably the most important part for PoE, but combat is incredible. I think the combat is very satisfying. I like it a lot. I find that the combat is very fluid. Even with the slower classes, like let's say like a ranger, it still feels fluid. There's not like a global cooldown that slows the game down for you. I do like how fluid it feels. You don't die enough for it to feel like a hard game, but you don't run through everything easy enough for you to feel like it's on easy mode. It's a really good in between. Like I haven't really died to a pack of mobs other than alt tabbing and then looking back and I'm dead to a pack of mobs that I didn't realize about. But I did die to a few bosses, and I've actually died to one of the bosses twice. So I think that they really did balance the health or the damage that these bosses and ads like actually put out. It's a very fluid combat system coming from someone that played a bit of mercenary, a bit of sorceress, and now a bit of witch, which I'm making a minion build. Now to talk about the minion build, there's a few things. Obviously, I would rather if I could just spawn all my minions and never have to worry about them, but that's just the idle game mind in me, right? Like it's just someone that doesn't want to have to do the work. I think what they have right now is very, very balanced, and it's actually pretty cool. So essentially, if you don't know anything about PoE or you don't know anything about the minion build, essentially there's this skill called Unearth, and when your minions or you kill the monster, or you kill the monster and you use Unearth to kill it, or you use Unearth the skill on their corpse, it actually brings them back to life as like a scorpion or whatever it is, and essentially it allows you to have way more minions. Like you'll go from having a 5 to like having like 10, 12 minions. It's super cool. I really like the gameplay loop of that. I find it very fun. It makes you want to get more and more, get into more ads, into more packs. I find it super interesting. I like it, and it's a very beginner friendly class to play. I have one thing with the minion build so far. I mean, obviously there's probably tons that veterans can speak on, but for me as a complete beginner that knows absolutely nothing, one thing that I really would like is to be able to see the corpses way easier. So the way I'll explain is that I'll probably have something on screen here. When you're killing things and the corpses are on the ground, you can't really see them in the dark places, and it's harder to see them when the screen is dark. But if you mouse over them, they have this little green outline. If you had a continuous green outline, like even if your mouse wasn't around it, if all the corpses around were like at least a little tiny bit shinier than the other things in the environment, you would be able to know where to aim your Unearth a lot easier. Again, this is a very, very like basic, beginner, probably terrible take. Honestly, I know that kind of like gives into the sissies, and that's not really what PoE 2 is about. But coming from an actual beginner that has never played ARPGs like that, never really played like killing packs of mobs like that, that's what I would like to see, because I find it, I find my mind like I want to be able to see what I'm like shooting my Unearth at, to be able to resurrect a bunch of things to get some minions, and I feel like I can't see it. I feel like I'm just blindly throwing it, right? So that's my one gripe of the minion build, and I'm sure there's a million. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure everybody loves the story or whatever. I'm not looking at the story at all. I'm be honest. I do it in MMOs. I do it in RPGs. I do it in MMORPGs. I do it in ARPGs. I do it in JRPGs. I don't care about the story. I don't care about the story. It's not why I'm there. I'm there for combat. Now, you guys, again, can let me know in the comments below what you think about the story. I think it's a really, if you look into it a tiny bit, like I have, like obviously I'm seeing things as I'm talking to people. I do like how they change the environment every playthrough. They change or like the randomization of the maps, and then they change the isometric camera 90 degrees sometimes. So like I fought a mob on sorceress that I was playing, and I was like, or a boss, and I was like, I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna play witch. I want to play a minion build, whatever, yesterday. And then I fought that boss again. And I was like, wait, why does this look different? It's because they turned the camera so it feels like it's a different game. I really like that. And I would say altering the map and stuff all adds into the story. But if you're talking about the core story, I don't know, boss. Let me know what you think. I don't care. I didn't look into the story. I'm okay with that. You can flame me if you want, whatever. We're going to move on. Skill tree. I think that's the most daunting part for a new player. You look at the skill tree and you're like, whoa, this looks absolutely ridiculous. And it probably is if they didn't dumb it down. Now, from previous, when I played PoE, I don't believe it was dumbed down. And I felt like an absolute buffoon trying to do anything in that skill tree. I found it very exhausting and very overwhelming. This time around, I'm just making my own build. That's how easy they made it. With this minion build, you start with a witch and you have two paths: energy shield or attack. That's it. You do damage or you get more energy shield. And then they branch off and you can see the different types of branches of what you want to build. And I've just strictly went all minion. And minion a little bit of attribute. I went a little bit of intelligence. But for example, I went minion all the way up through. And I'll talk about it in gearing. My legendary item that I got actually converts 25% of my damage I'm doing to chaos damage, which is sick. So 25% of the damage I'm doing turns to chaos damage. And then I have, in this minion build path, I have 40% extra chaos damage as one of the branches on the tree. Super. I'm telling you, I'm actually addicted to this shit. This game is fucking sick, boys. So the skill tree is dumbed down enough, and let's talk like the skills and the way the skills are explained and what they do. And I think it's actually well done. I have never really played an ARPG, and I've never used any of these gems or anything like that. I right click on a gem, or like I right click on like a null, whatever they're called, orbs or whatever, and it like lights up my equipment on if. We'll talk about this in the gearing section. Never mind. We'll talk about it in the gearing section. We're going to continue with the skill tree. I'm getting off topic. I love this game. So the skill tree, essentially, they dumbed it down enough to where you can build your own thing up through and you don't need to feel overwhelmed. Now, to be fair, everybody that's going to play over 10 hours is probably going to look up a build. But if you don't want to, I feel like you actually can get through the game and not actually have to stress about it. It's kind of sick. They did a good job. Now with the passive skills or the actual active skills, both of them I think are well explained, and I think they're perfectly fine. I don't believe there's any real issues right now for the explanation of the skills and how simple it is and how accessible it is for people. Now, the whole reason I'm addicted to PoE 2 right now is the gearing, okay? When I get that yellow drop and I see that yellow text on my screen, oh my, the dopamine hit is insane. And then the orange, when the orange drop, the gearing progression is good. It's good. They give you the orbs or whatever, and you can make them yellow and you can change the different stats. And from a beginner's perspective, that, yeah, sure, like we can say I'm an above average gamer. I play enough games to like be an above average gamer, and I've played a lot of MMOs, so upgrading gear is kind of like not new to me. But I found it very simple to right click that orb or whatever it is, and then it shows up one of the pieces of equipment. It's like highlighted saying you can use it, and I use it and it turns yellow. It goes from blue to yellow. And I'm like, that is sick. That is super cool. So just from an orb perspective or an upgrading perspective, I think they did it well enough to where if you're fiddling around with your inventory, you'll figure it out as a beginner. I think that's super cool. But also from an actual gear progression standpoint, I'm level 15 and I have a legendary. Now, when it comes to the actual pieces of gear, I do find the line items are pretty easy to understand. I mean, there was one that was like a bit confusing where it was like 5% of damage done will turn to chaos damage per minion or whatever. So I was like, does that mean that it's like I'm doing chaos damage, or does that, so like, do I have to use a chaos skill to do that damage? And I looked into it further, obviously just through wiki or whatever. And it was like, no, it was like, if it says that it's earning damage to chaos, it's you do the damage, it counts it as chaos damage, and then it's going to multiply by the amount of minions you have. So if I have 5 out, I have 25% extra damage, which converts to chaos damage, which helps in the skill tree where I have 40% extra chaos damage. So that 25% is up by 40%. I'm addicted. This is sick. All in all, I think the gearing, you're getting enough gear, and there's always gear. There's always pieces of equipment coming up. There's always these little events that you click on, and it's like a yellow event or whatever, and then a bunch of mobs spawn, and then you get this little thing, and then when you kill a boss, and all the stuff comes up, and I'm just picking up everything. I don't even care if it's gray, and then disenchanting items, disenchant all the items, you get the thing, put it in your bank, and bro, I'm telling you, this shit's gas. This shit is gas, and I waited way too long to play an ARPG. But I do think PoE was a very difficult game to get into for a while, and I don't know if they've done it better, but at least now all I know is that it is beginner friendly. I picked this game up, I had no issues. I probably had 2 questions for my buddies that were playing with me that have played before. Minimal questions. I've ran through it. I'm almost at Act 2 now, level 15. I feel like I've played like probably 4 to 5 hours, and I haven't had really any issues. So if you want to play the game and you've never really played an ARPG, I would suggest trying it. It's really good. Anyway, guys, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. I haven't done much bossing or anything, so I'm not going to speak on that, but seriously, let me know what you think. If you haven't yet, like the video and hit the subscribe button, because I do make videos almost every single day, and I'm trying to figure out my niche. I'm trying to figure out if I want to go FPS, if I want to go trendy topics, if I want to go Tarkov, if I want to, you know, maybe the PoE video does well, I'll go PoE, but I'm in that limbo stage where I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So let me know what you want to see, and anyway, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, it has been a pleasure. Yeah, all right, guys. Yeah.